we are the group 7, and for today's topic, we will be talking about command line skills in Windows. So what is command line skills? The command line or command line interface is a text-based interface that allows you or the user to type commands via lines of text that are then processed by the computer. So for today, sir, we have subtopics. Uh, First is shell, then commands, variables, command type, coding, and control statements. Okay. For the reporters will be Abrios Jerry, Reggie Ann, Jungaling Jean, Joring Clarence, Mabantashina Rafael, and Sandigan Sydney. Okay.
For shell windows.
Sorry.
So what is a shell? The graphic So what is a shell? The graphic user interface or GUI is for the Windows OS. The shell is first released in Windows 95 in 1995. The shell is intimately identified with File Explorer and explores Script 3D and contains Script 3D and charms on some versions of Windows. Okay, so elements of a shell. The elements of a shell include Windows Desktop, a full screen window rendered behind all other windows. It displays to users wallpaper as well as the shortcut icons of several computer applications and folders. Taskbar, a toolbar-like element that appears as a horizontal bar across the bottom corner of a desktop by default and can be relocated to the left, right, or top corners for personal preference. It can be configured to stay parallel to any used application or collapse and hide when unused. It allows you to access several applications and features via the start button. Task switching allows the user to cycle through existing application windows. Introduced since Windows 3.0 and optimized as task view since Windows 10 and 11, allowing it to manage both application windows and virtual desktops. Autoplay, a feature that examines newly inserted removable media for content and displays a dialog that contains options related to the type and content of the examined media. Not the same as Autorun, but can be enabled together. Introduced since Windows XP. Next. Relationship with file explorers. File explorers can browse the shell namespace, i.e. it can access not only files, disks, or folders, but also elements introduced to Windows mentioned in the elements of Windows shell. The Explorer.exe executable is responsible for launching several elements, including File Explorer, taskbar, start menu, and parts of the desktop. Though some elements may continue to run while the executable process is closed. It is initially called Windows Explorer and is renamed to File Explorer in Windows 8 onwards, though the executable name remains the same. Next.
Command Windows. Introducing the Windows command prompt. A command prompt is a program whose primary purpose is to read command and run another program. Palabot ana, mo na nagpatuman sa ubang mga mga application na mga program. And then the command prompt is main advantage are high action to keystore or ratio is support for automating repetitive tasks and its capacity to access network machine. Mao nang pasabot na ang uban daw mga prompt kailangan og access sa mga command. The command prompt main disadvantage are primarily textual nature and how cryptic and command and operation can be. Next. The command nay command prompt na bali 280 commands mo nang dili na ko masulatanan kay dagan kay sila pero nay lima ka book siguro ang ikuandra pero dili ko sure. The command prompt in Windows provide access to over 280 commands. These commands are used to do certain operating system tasks from the command line interpreter instead of graphical Windows interface we use most of the time. This article less or more important command or under Windows. Mo ni mga command like dire na may shutdown ng kabutang ang description ay na kay shutdown the computer. Mo na ma-shutdown yung computer, mo rin ang ma-shutdown. Napay uban dra start and on window to execute a program or command. Mo na magpasabot sa command.
Okay. So, command type Windows. So what is command type Windows? CMD or command type Windows stands for, ayun tang balik ba? So, command type Windows. Ayun tang balik. Command types in Windows. So, there are different types of commands in Windows. CMD stands for command. A command is an instruction given to a computer that tells the program what has to be done. So muna siya program sa computer na pwede nimo i-execute para kung for example na dili mo gana, so pwede nimo siya gamiton ang command. So it is an application that is found in most computers with Windows as an operating system, pero naagyapon siya sa mga different OS like Mac or kuan or any type of operating system, pero nag-focus lang mi karon sa Windows. And it helps in execution in commands entered. It is also command prompt or Windows command processor. So like giingon ni Clarence, daghan kaayo og kanang mga commands sa nga pwede gamiton, pero kung ibutang namo tanan kay dugay kay mi mahuman. So nagbutang na mig tulo nga nagbutang na mi og lima nga pinaka common. So first is ren or rename. So ang muna siya ang i-enter nimo sa imuhang command prompt. Ay muna imong i-enter sa imong command prompt dayon example, muna ang example so kuan user nimo, then i-rename nimo imong file, then okay na siya dayon. Another is ASSOC, fixed file association. So this is one of the most basic and common commands. It helps to associate, as the name suggests, some file extension to some programs. For example, when we click on .doc as an extension or like PDF, the computer is able to decide that it is need to associate with Microsoft Word. So the screenshot below shows an example as how this command works. Like muna siya ang example of like kana siya dayon syntax, muna siya ang imong i-enter para mo gana ni nga command. Then third kay koan kaning pareha ra gihapon ay mo din siya ang another example. Then as third command kay power configuration. So this command gives a report of power settings of the computer. In situations where the power of the computer drains out quickly, this command can help generate a complete power efficiency. This report is generated within a minute and extremely useful to detect any warnings which may help impact the performance of the system. Sorry. So pwede na siya nimo gamiton ni nga command as like para tan-awon nimo unsa ang applications or mga systems nga kanang kusog kay mo gamit sa power sa computer. So to use this command, you have to kanang gamiton nimo na siya power TFG, then option or arguments or dayon muni ang example, then mo ni siya magawa sa command prompt. So the fourth one kay turn off computer. So usahay dili mo turn ang computer, so pwede nimo siya gamiton. Users can type shutdown slash I on the computer command prompt and choose to either restart or complete shutdown on the GUI. GUI or dialog box that appears. Users have to choose avoid to avoid this GUI dialog box by using the shutdown command. So muni ang syntax, muni siya ang pwede nimo ibutang o dayon. Muni siya ang i-example. Then after nimo na siya i-execute sa command prompt, muni dayon siya ang mugawas para ma-shutdown nimo ang imong computer or i-restart. Then lastly, system file checker. This command helps to detect any malware or virus threatened by running a scan on the core system files. So kung if kanang murag feel nimo na ni virus imong system or computer, muna siya ang pwede nimo gamiton nga command prompt dayon. In order to run this command, administrator rights are needed. On the CMD command prompt icon, use the right click key and select the option run as administrator. So kailangan pa nimo i-search ang command prompt then run as administrator like this. Dayon user needs to type kani siya CFC or scan noun to run a diagnostic test, a diagnostic check to ensure all files are safe from malware and in case any threat of malware. These files are prepared using a backup files. Then muni syntax, muni siya ang dapat mo i-enter sa command prompt. Then muni siya ang as an example. Then muni ang magawa sa imong command prompt. Then
So DOS shell coding. DOS shell coding. Shells on the Microsoft Windows OS use double quote characters for coding, which makes it difficult to include and escape double quote character in a command line script. Escaping double quotes is tricky because backslashes are needed to escape double quotes. In an MS Windows command line, the one line is script below may be passed as the following. So double quote. So backslash 42 is the octal code for a double quote as seen above. Go converts it into a real double quote for output by the print statement. For each double quote in the original string, that MS DOS rules for quoting a string. For each double quote in the original string, let n be the number of backslashes before it. N might be 0. Replace these n backslashes by 2 times n plus 1 backslashes. Let n be the number of backslashes made in the original string. N might be 0. Replace these n backslashes by 2 times 10 backslashes. Surround the resulting string by double quotes.
Control statements. Next. What is a control statement? The control statements help users specify the order of execution of the instructions present in a program. This makes it possible for the program to make certain decisions, perform various tasks repeatedly, or even jump from any one section of the code to a different section. So a control statement is used in a programming language to control the flow of the program. Next. There are 3 components that we need to understand in any structured programming methodology. Sequential execution, conditional execution, and looping constructions. Each of these will be discussed as we learn how to implement control structures in a shell script. Next. Sequential execution. Sequential execution means that each command in a program script executes in the order in which it is listed in the program. The first command in the sequence executes first and When it is complete, the second command executes, and so on. Next, conditional execution. Conditional execution controls whether or not the core will execute an instruction. There are total of 5 conditional statements which can be used in bash programming. If statement, if else statement, else if ladder, nested if, and switch statement. Next, if statement. This block will process if a specified condition is true. Next, if else statement. If specified condition is not true, then if part, then else part will be executed. Next, else if ladder. To use multiple conditions in one if else block, then the elif keyword is used in shell. If expression 1 is true, then it executes statement 1 and 2, and this process continues. If none of the conditions is true, then it processes else part. Next, switch statement. A statement works as a switch statement. Its specified values match with the pattern, then it will execute a block of that particular pattern. Then a match is found all of the associated statements until the double semicolon are executed. A case will be terminated when the last command is executed. If there is no match, the exit status of the case is 0. Next, looping shell scripts. These loops will execute commands iteratively until a condition satisfies and comes out of the loop. When condition is not satisfied, we can control the loops using some keywords in shell scripting, and we can use loops to automate repetitive tasks. There are total of 3 looping statements which can be used in bash programming. Next, while statement, for statement, and until statement. Next, while statement. Here, the command is evaluated and based on the result, loop will be executed. If command is raised to false, then loop will be terminated. Next, for statement. The loop operates on list of items. It repeats a set of commands for every item in a list. Here, var is the name of a variable, and word 1 to word n are sequences of characters separated by spaces. Each time the for loop executes, the value of the variable var is set to the next word in the list of words, word 1 to word n, until statement. Next, until statement. The until loop is executed as many times as the condition or command evaluates to false. The loop terminates when the condition or command becomes true.
Windows environment variables. Environment variables are mainly used within batch files. They can be created, modified, and deleted for session using the set command. To make a permanent changes, use setx. Variables can be displayed using set or echo. Variables have a percent sign on both sides. The variable can include spaces, punctuation, and mixed case. A variable name may include any of the following characters: A to Z, big capital, small letter A to Z, 09, number sign, dollar sign, and etc. Ano? Di na. Dynamic environment variables are computed each time the variable is expanded. This makes them inherently read-only. When all variables are listed with set, this will not appear in the list. Volatile. Variables are defined under the registry. Do not attempt to directly set a volatile variable while you could change them. The system will override them with the newly derived values. The majority of volatile variables are CMD-shell variables, so like all CMD-shell variables, they are stored in memory only. Precedence. When a new process started, the variables will be loaded in the following order. Number 1, system environment variables. 2, shell variables per user. 3, user environment variables. 4, shell variables. After the process has started, additional shell variables can be defined with set. This will available only to the current CMD shell session, but they will take precedence over any environment variables with the same name. For example, in the set command is used to modify the path, or if it is removed with path that will affect the current process, but not any other programs or CMD sessions opened before or after the current one. The precedence is important to understand because if you try to set a system environment variable, it will fail because the shell variable is not created until after the system environment variables are imported to the session. However, you can use to build a user environment variable path. Running the set command with no options will display all shells variables plus all user and system environment variables. In other words, every variable available to be read with that session in PowerShell. The same list is available via the drive. That's the end of our reporting, sir. Thank you for listening.